Hey everybody, this is Keith here of Euphoria Pictures. Welcome back to my channel. Right folks, so for this video, as you can see on my thumbnail, I'm going to be doing my top 10 best sounding movies on 4K. Now before I get on with the video, I just want to do a shout out to a gentleman by the name of Chris. He only just recently subscribed to me, and the first comment he ever left on my channel was asking, did I do a video like this? And I thought it was a great idea. I actually felt like an idiot that I never thought of doing something like this before. So thank you so much, Chris, for putting this idea into my head. Now, anyone that's coming onto this channel or coming onto this video thinking that you are going to see a top 10 just filled with nothing but action-packed sci-fi heavy-hitting movies, that's not what I find as demo-worthy audio. Now, don't get me wrong, there is going to be a few in this top 10, but it's not going to be filled my top 10 is not going to be filled with movies like that. You know, I like to be engaged in movies. I want immersion. I want the sound to have fun with me. And a lot of the time I get that from horror movies, particularly when the audio is done right. And that's what I find is demo worthy. So again, like I said, don't be expecting to see the likes of, you know, Top Gun Maverick or, you know, movies like that. It's not going to be in my top 10. Not saying that they don't sound great, they do. It's just not for me. Right, so with that out of the way, let's get on with it. So here is my top 10 best sounding movies on 4K. Right, so here we go, number 10, and I'm going to start with John Carpenter's Escape from New York. Now, you just know you're in the presence of great sound when you actually hear the theme of this song, which you think you are so familiar with, and it almost felt like you were listening to it for the first time. That's how incredible the theme actually sounded at the start of this movie. The added bass really did add something to it. Even the opening sequence, you get a great sense of those overhead channels when the choppers are flying around you, and they fly around you quite convincingly. And yeah, you can just hear them moving from speaker to speaker. Some great separation there with them speakers. And then you've also, like I said, got that added bass. Just check out the scene where Kurt Russell actually finds the wreck of Air Force One. The amount of bass that's just going through your speakers, it just shakes the room out of it, and I actually thought it was a welcome bonus to this movie. It was a very engaging mix, and it was a massive surprise to hear this movie sound the way it sounded. So yeah, that is my number 10 pick, Escape from New York. Right, so at number 9 we have got Everest, and this has a Dolby Atmos soundtrack. If there was ever one movie that puts you right in the middle of what is going on, it is Everest. The sound never lets up, particularly when it gets onto the mountain itself. Every single speaker is getting a wallop, and it's all down to those winds, and you can't help but feel bad for everyone that's in this movie and everything they have to go through because of how convincing the winds sound, particularly when you get your overhead channels as well. It never lets up, and you feel very uncomfortable watching it. That's how incredible and immersive the soundtrack is on Everest, and if you haven't checked it out, I think you'll be massively impressed with the audio on this one. You do get a great sense of bass as well. Not all the time, but there is a handful of scenes that will take you by surprise, so brace yourselves for them ones. So there we go folks, that is number 9, Everest, and great movie that. Right, so in at number 8 we have got Cloverfield. And yes, not every soundtrack needs to have Dolby Atmos or DTS-X to be immersive. This is a true Dolby 5.1 and it sounds phenomenal. Now, anyone that's aware of this movie, it is loud, particularly when those heavier action sequences happen. They are amazingly loud, and every speaker is getting a wallop, with that added level of bass as well, which sounds quite amazing as well. But the one thing I do love when them heavier action sequences happen, as heavy as they sound, the dialogue never gets drowned out by the action, and that is always an added bonus, because you do see it sometimes on movies where the action is so loud that you can't hear what anyone is saying, but it doesn't happen on this. But the one thing that I really do love about Cloverfield, it is on the quieter moments, the scenes like where they're walking through the subway. And the sound never lets up. Your back speakers are always there to remind you that something is going on above them. And it is very immersive. And I never thought we would ever get that from a found footage movie. So there you go folks, that is my number 8 pick, Cloverfield. Right, so in at number 7 we have got Krampus. And this has got a Dolby Atmos soundtrack. This is definitely one of the most active mixes you will ever hear. And the one thing I love about it is them separation you get with the speakers. It is quite convincingly done. And as a matter of fact, there is times where it might frighten you. Something might come up behind you unexpectedly. And that's what I'm talking about, immersion. That's what I want when it comes to my sound. Now, there is a snowstorm going on outside as well. It packs a punch. It is quite heavy and loud at times. And even inside the house, you can hear that snowstorm going on, and it's there to remind you that they cannot leave this house because of it. The dialogue is beautifully centered, incredibly clean, and there is a great sense of bass to some of them heavier action sequences. And again, just like the previous Cloverfield, the dialogue never gets drowned out by them. So there you go, folks. Number 7, Krampus. And if you're actually looking for a fun, active mix, I can't think of a better movie than this. Right, so in at number 6, we have got Back to the Future, and this has got a Dolby Atmos soundtrack on it. And this one really took me by surprise. I never thought it was going to sound near as good as it does on this 4K release. Now, the overhead channels don't get much of a chance when it comes to this Dolby Atmos soundtrack, but there is a handful of scenes that will surprise you. One in particular is the clocks at the start of this movie when they all go off. You do get a great sense of those higher channels. It's coming out of every single speaker, but you will hear it more so on the higher channels. The Johnny Be Good song when Michael J. Fox performs it, I've never heard it sound as alive as it does. It does a great sense of richness to the sound. And the Alan Silvestri score, the iconic score, it just feels so grandiose, and now it just sounds phenomenal. Gunshots do pack a nice punch to them as well, and the dialogue is unbelievably clean. I had no issues whatsoever. It sounds exactly how Back to the Future should sound, and wow, what a surprise it was. And that is my number 6 pick. Right, so on to number 5. So there's no way I was going to put a top 10 together and not put this into it, and it is Saving Private Ryan. And this has got a Dolby Atmos soundtrack with this release. Now, the one thing I love about the soundtrack on this, it is all to do with precision. You know, guns are not being overly loud just for the sake of being loud. It's all to do with precision, and all you have to do is check out the opening sequence, the battle at the start of this. It is all about perfect precision. Bullets will whistle past your ears. You'll find yourself ducking, and trust me, I'm not kidding. I've done it a few times. My neck was actually hurting me at the end of this movie. That's how convincing the sound was in this. But like I said, it is all about precision. A bullet going here, an explosion going there. It's all perfection. And what an incredible soundstage you get with this movie. One of the best out there. And it says a lot for the rest of the movies that I have in this top 10 when you have this at number 5. But if you have not heard Saving Private Ryan on Dolby Atmos, trust me, you need to check this out. If there's ever an excuse to go out and buy a Dolby Atmos sound setup, it would be this movie. And that is my number 5 pick. Right, so in at number 4, we have got Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and there's no way you can put a top 10 together of your best sounding movies and not include a Godzilla movie, so I opted for this one. This is just pure carnage when it comes to its Dolby Atmos soundtrack. It never lets up. It is incredibly engaging, unbelievably immersive as well. But it is loud. It is astonishingly loud. It's one of them movies that when you finish watching it, your ears are going to be ringing for hours after it. As a matter of fact, I can't think of a better movie, a better excuse to actually make sure that everything is bolted down in your room in fear of it shaking off your shelves, because this is what you're getting with Godzilla, King of the Monsters. It is unbelievably bass heavy. It's frighteningly so. But just like Saving Private Ryan, it is to do with precision, particularly with those overhead channels, because naturally, you know, you're dealing with a character like Godzilla who is so big, and of course the creatures themselves. So it is all about placement when it comes to them overheads, and it is perfectly done, flawless. It is an incredible sounding Dolby Atmos soundtrack, and if you have not checked it out, trust me, you need to hear this movie. The picture quality is not actually the greatest on this. It is the Dolby Atmos that saves it, and thank God it sounds as good as it does, because it would have been such a letdown. So there you go, folks. That is my number 4 pick. Right, so in at number 3, we have got The Matrix. Of course, you're going to have to put The Matrix in there as well. Now, The Matrix is one of them movies. Its audio was always demo-worthy, whether it was on DVD with its Dolby Digital 5.1 or its true Dolby 5.1 on the Blu-ray release, always demo-worthy, and the Dolby Atmos is absolutely no different. Now, I'm just going to say now, they don't drastically change anything when it comes to the true Dolby 5.1. It is just a huge refinement of that sound, and you will not believe how different it actually does sound just by the refinements alone. I don't have to tell you, the bullet time is crucial when it comes to the Dolby Atmos in this, and it is quite convincingly done. Some of the heavier action sequences as well just adds a sense of presence, a sense of immersion that you've never gotten before with the true Dolby 5.1. Like I said, it is just a refinement to an already amazing soundtrack. Made even more so now with Dolby Atmos. I never thought the day would ever come that they could actually improve on it. And I think this is the pinnacle now when it comes to The Matrix and its audio. I can't see it being any better than what you're hearing here. And that is why it's my number 3 pick. So there you go, that is The Matrix. Right, so in at number 2, we have got Moonfall. Now, say what you want to say about the movie, it is quite poor, even though it is slowly growing on me, and it's mainly because of its amazing Dolby Atmos soundtrack and, of course, the 4K picture. It's a demo-worthy disc, and it is one of the most spectacular sounding movies you're ever likely to hear. It is incredibly present, unbelievably engaging, massively active, and it never lets up. And that's all I can expect when it comes to a Dolby Atmos soundtrack. It is much similar to Godzilla King of the Monsters. It is unbelievably loud, but the great thing about it is the dialogue never gets drowned out, even by the heavier action sequences. And trust me, there is a lot of heavier action sequences in this, and it is quite impressive the way they find that balance. But not just that, but it is all about precision as well. The separation with your speakers are very convincingly done. They just flow into each other seamlessly. It is an absolutely spectacular sounding Dolby Atmos soundtrack, and if you can put your hatred aside for the movie, I think what you will get is a very pleasing and incredibly engaging Dolby Atmos soundtrack, and it's why I have it at number 2. So there you go, folks, Moonfall. Right, folks, so here we go at number 1, and I know that this is going to surprise a lot of people. It's going to shock a lot of people as well, but the heart loves what the heart loves, and I think that this is definitely the most engaging, most immersive mix I've ever heard on the 4K format, and the movie is Hellfest. I have sung the praises of this movie for so many years now, and the DTS:X that you get on this is absolutely astonishing. Have you ever heard a movie where your surround speakers have never stopped? This is the movie for you. Not just your surround, but your overheads as well. As soon as they get to the fun fair on this, the Hellfest, it never stops. There is always something coming out of your rear speakers, and if it's not coming out of your rear, it's coming out of your overhead channels as well. It is quite convincingly done. The separation is absolutely seamless the way it's all done. It just flows through your entire soundstage. There is a great sense of bass to this movie as well. The music, the score is absolutely incredible. There's a great sense of presence to it. It is so atmospheric. You will not believe it. And if you have not seen Hellfest on 4K, trust me, you need to pick it up and hear this DTS:X sound. It is quite remarkable. And not just that, but the picture quality is equally as good. It is the perfect 4K disc, and that's why it's number 1 for me. So there you go, folks. There is my top 10. I know you're going to be surprised by a lot of the movies that I have in here, but look, just bear in mind, this is my top 10. This is what I like. And yeah, I actually had a fun time trying to pick all of these out, but I hope you get an understanding of why I love the soundtracks on all of these 10. So there you go, folks. So as per usual, if you did like what you see here, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you could leave a comment down below. And please do share your thoughts on this top 10. I am so curious to hear what you are going to say out there. And yeah, I hope to see you all again real soon with my next video. Until then, I'll see you soon. Bye bye.